So the way that we see pain in life really ends up determining, um, how successful we're gonna end up being. So it's the pain that stands in the way, right? It's the effort, it's the time, it's just the pain, the struggle, the suffering. Like there's a million and one synonyms, but there's no achievement without the process, and the process is painful. A lot of these ideas I talk about are basically the same thing, like nuanced in different ways. Um, and it's the embrace the suck mentality. Like it's a famous expression used by the SEALs, but goes far beyond that to anyone who's been through the fire and successfully endured it. So it's like those who succeed embrace the pain, they embrace the suck, they kind of love it in a twisted way, because you have to. The thing is, you're never going to succeed doing something you hate. You just won't. And the thing about endeavoring to win at any game is it hurts. Like some point along the line, it hurts. There's struggle. There's an obstacle. You know what I mean? And like, I mean, this sounds stupidly simple, but it's not so much understanding the nature of like the variables in the game as truly understanding how to deal with them. And that's where kind of embrace the suck comes into play. And it's just, pain is a miserable thing to go through. Like it's not fun. It's this is where we get into the truly metaphysical. It's kind of, I mean, I'm struggling for the words, because what can you really say? Like, pain is not fun. You don't go through pain. You don't do pain for pain's sake. It's funny because, like, I talk about being the masochist and how you have to become the masochist. You have to love the pain. It's sort of a manner of speaking. It's not to be taken literal. You don't actually love the pain, but you have to convince yourself that you do, because that's what stands between you and what you want. Like, you're kidding yourself if you think that you're ever going to get to the end point without the pain, without the obstacles in the way. That doesn't exist. That's not, people will talk about that's not reality, and I hate it sometimes, because what we call reality is very distorted. There's a difference in sort of the little r reality and the big R reality, or the same thing with, the little t truth and the capital T truth. What is sort of societally and by construct, and then what is with a capital I, universally, eternally, by what God or the universe has dictated. Well, that's the thing. Like, the dictation of the universe is that there is no success without struggle. That's not. I talk a lot about, like, not having an agenda and an opinion, rather being very Socratic and just looking for the truth. See, everybody has an opinion, right? But nobody knows the truth. It's funny. It's funny and not funny, right? They're two entirely different things. See, people have opinions and they call it truth, and it's not. It's not. An opinion inherently is not truth. An opinion is a coin flip. It's guesswork. If it wasn't, the reason it's an opinion is because it's guesswork. Like, the reason that it's an opinion and not truth itself is because it's a coin flip. The thing is, an opinion can be truth. It can be, but it just as easily cannot be. It's a guess. It's like, I can't give you the Merriam-Webster definition of an opinion, but it's inherently not truthful, or not. It's not. I should flip that around semantically and say that it's not inherently truthful. So what I'm getting at is that it's when we boil down the very simple truths of life, that we find the key to success. It's just it's in humbling ourselves enough that to admit that we don't know it all, and that, like, it's our job to find these answers. And so in humbling ourselves, we have to stop thinking that we fucking know it all, like we tend to do all the time, and stop fucking assuming that society is right. I'm here to tell you guys, society's wrong as fuck. It's just straight up wrong. Like, you're dealing with a bunch of inept people who, over years and decades and centuries and millennia through the history of mankind, and it's gotten a lot worse recently, really, have just made inept decisions. You're talking about inept people making inept decisions. The sad reality is that this is not a world governed by philosophers. This is a world governed by mediocre people, because mediocrity is the standard of this world. I don't know if it's always been that way, but it's that way now for sure. I know that much. You can look around you and see it. Once the veil drops, this world is premised upon mediocrity. So let's not get it twisted for a moment and think that the institutions, the people around you are telling you the truth. Everything you're being dished is a fucking lie, a big fat fucking lie. And I can tell you that. I can't make you see it. But I'm gonna say it because it's the truth, and that is my only objective, is the truth. I don't have a goddamn opinion. I give a fuck about opinion. Opinion doesn't matter. That's what I said. It's truth. When we find truth, we find the answers, and that's what we deal with and embrace the suck. When we understand and grasp the truth that there is nothing in life without pain, then we win. Until then, we fucking lose, like we're doing right now. Most people, I'm not going to give you a percentage because I don't know what it is. I just know it's like most or a lot, at least, are running from the pain. They're running from the truth because the truth is blinding. When you see it for the first time, it's harsh. It's abrasive. Like, it's not fun to deal with. It's like Plato. I talk a lot about Plato and Socrates, who Plato was Socrates' student. So he basically uses Socrates to convey his premises and stuff. It's like Plato's allegory of the caves, where you have this. Well, this one doesn't actually have anything to do with Socrates, but I talk a lot about Socrates. So, and they're like one and the same. So in Plato's allegory of the caves, what we have, very simple rundown really, is like a group of people, and they're chained up, and there's a wall in front of them. They're inside a cave. There's a wall in front of them, and behind them there's a fire going. Of course, they didn't have electricity back then, but you could apply the same thing with any kind of like light. So there's a fire going behind them, and they can't see anything except what is on the wall in front of them. And then also behind them, in front of that fire, are like some other people or something casting some shadows upon the wall. So they see these like forms, or these shapes. I say forms because I'll talk about the forms in a minute. They see these shapes upon the wall. And so that's all they've ever seen their whole lives. They've just been down there chained to this wall, and all they see is these shadows. So what do they do other than assume that the shadows are real? That's all they know. That's what they see. They see that's it. Like that, I'm gonna keep it that's that simple. That's all they see. That's all they know. So they assume the shadows to be the thing itself. When in reality, as we know, with sort of the dramatic irony of watching from the outside, we know that what they're seeing is but a reflection. It's not that it's unreal, but it's not the ultimate reality. It's a reflection. It's a shadow of the thing itself. It's not the thing itself. So if there's a whatever's being cast on the wall, the thing itself is the thing itself. They're just seeing the shadow. And so one day they're let out into the light, and they can see the actual things, the actual forms. That's why I said forms, because the forms they're seeing are not the actual forms. So Plato talks about the forms, and the actual forms with the capital F. Again, it's like capital T truth and lower T truth. It's the lowercase form and the great and the uppercase form. You can just think about everything as sort of a construct and a reality. And one day they're let out into the light, and when they actually see for the first time, they're blinded. Their eyes cannot adjust. They can't take it, and they cripple, and no, and they do all that. I'm not an actor. I apologize. But that's very much what Plato is getting at, is that's how we live. That's our lives. And I'm pretty sure people were doing it back then. That's why he was writing about it 2,500 years ago in ancient Greece, and we're still doing it now. We are not seeing the truth. We are seeing but a construct of it. We are seeing a sorry shit attempt by humanity to, I won't even say manifest, but to, there people, as humanity, we're throwing darts, kind of like we're throwing darts and trying to hit the bullseye, but we suck at it. I don't know if that's a good analogy, but we're just not in line with truth. What we have is construct. We have agenda. Again, I use those words, opinion and agenda. We have a lot of that. We have what suits right now in the moment. We have what makes us money, what makes us comfortable. We have a million forms of drugs. Don't for a minute think that drugs are only cocaine and marijuana and alcohol and whatever. Drugs are television, drugs are sex, drugs are food, drugs are, I'm not gonna sit here and name them, you can think of them. Drugs are anything that doesn't root us in reality, that takes us away from reality itself and places us in a lesser reality, again, that lowercase r reality. So I'm not gonna like go too much off the deep end with that, but this may sound like I've gone astray, but I really haven't. This is all talking about the idea of embracing the pain, because fundamentally, that tight embrace, like, it comes from truly, pardon the pun, or pardon the redundance, truly grasping truth. It comes from understanding what is real and what is not, and it comes from understanding, like, once you understand that those drugs, those numbing effects are not real, and they will do nothing but drive you into the pit of devastation and despair, then you understand that pain is your best friend. And that's what I'm getting at, really. Pain is your best ally. Pain means you are progressing. It means you are alive. It means you have a shot. Because you have a shot, if you're experiencing that pain, it means that you're on the road to winning. The reason that we think pain is bad rather than good is because we don't see the immediate effect of that victory. We don't see the immediate manifestation of it. We don't see what we want. We're human, guys, and we're flawed. That's part of, again, getting down to the root, getting past the constructs that we live with, and understanding the ultimate consummate reality, which is that we're human, or that's part of this great reality of ours, is that we're human, and so we're flawed, and so we want to be comfortable. We don't want to experience pain. That's the transcendence, guys. That's the transcendence into the divine, the hero within us, however you want to think of it. There's something more than human. It's very simple. There's something more than human, and so it's transcendence, and that transcendence starts with embracing the pain. It's very simple, ultimately. But like I talk about with a lot of things, it's hard in execution. So our greatest mission in this life really is to find truth, and I won't really go down this road, but that starts with, know thyself, which I talk about every time, just about in every video and everything I say. That's where it starts. That's where the truth is, guys. It's in here. But even putting that to the side, it's about understanding what's real rather than what's construct. And that reality, that truth, comes from inside of you, for sure. So when we can learn, individually, and moreover as a human race, when we can learn, it starts with us as individuals, but there is no great collective, there is no great whole. You guys know, like, I've based my whole lives on the Spartans, my whole life. I can't speak English now. My whole life on the Spartans, and what made them so beautiful and so successful was that they were the epitome of a collective. So as a whole, they were just this, like, perfectly fluid machine that had no hiccups, no friction. But they were that because, and that's beautiful, right? That's like a utopia. But they were that because they were perfect as individuals. Or when I say perfect, as close as you can get, really, like great men and women. The collective is but the sum of its parts, and that's what I talk a lot about that. That's one of my favorite sayings, ideas. Again, that's boiling truth down to its basest form. There's no collective without the individual parts. And so I say that because it starts with us as individuals, and I think it's, maybe you could argue that it's only theoretical. It's a possible thing for us to live in a great collective whole, but it would require every individual putting forth their best effort, basically, and I'm not sure that's something we can hope for in our world today. But there are those of us who will give it our best. And I feel like that might even be getting off the beaten path a little bit here, but the point is, it's up to every one of us as an individual to embrace that truth, to find it and to embrace it. And that's it, guys. Like, that's it. Like, when we learn to love pain, and when we dig deeper than the surface and uncover the true nature of pain, what I talked about a minute ago, about that it truly is not something to be feared and revolted by. It's it's really like the most beautiful thing in this world, because it's an indication of progression. It's an indication of the victory to come. Simply enough. You can sit there and play the game all day about, oh, well, what if I don't win? What if it doesn't work out? That's a different discussion. That's more of like a faith-centered discussion. You can go down that road. I would throw a big fat bullshit flag. All I'll say is that if it's a matter of time. The thing about pain is when you get hit enough times, it's the idea of get knocked down 9 times, get up 10. Like yeah, you're gonna get put in really dark places where the suffering gets so bad, and you've just lost so many times. You just think that's the last straw. That's the last straw. It's not gonna happen. The thing is, like, this again. It's going down another road, and it's gonna get too deep. But you just have to get back up and do it again. I mean, if you get knocked down 99 times, get back 100. This is not supposed to be easy. See, that's another one of those like fundamental premises that we have to really harness. It's not supposed to be easy. Like that's I think that's kind of secretly what everybody wants, myself included. We're all guilty of it. Like, again, we don't want to go through pain. This is what it is to be human. It's not fun. It's like intrinsically contrary to our beings. Like our minds fire, and they're like, danger. What's that old line? Danger, Will Robinson. That shit's old, but it's the alarm bells go off in our head, and there's like literally something very anti-human about pain. Your body and your mind and everything like wants to keep you in a comfort zone. Like you're inherently wired to be a self-preservationist, right? Like, I guess going back to our hunter-gatherer caveman days, whatever, like run from the mammoth, I don't know. Like we are wired to preserve ourselves. So when we encounter pain and suffering, it's like, whoa, no, that's bad. Like we could get hurt. Thing is, yeah, you could get hurt, and you will. You will. But I mean, this is like too simple. I don't even know what you endure that. You endure that pain. If it doesn't kill you, you're gonna get to the end eventually. You just keep taking those hits until you get to the end. You basically just tune it out. You just tune out the pain, and you just wait until you win. It's coming, guys. It's coming. You just have to endure it, and in order to endure it, you have to love the pain. You have to embrace the suck. In order to do that, you have to understand our nature as human beings, and you have to understand that this is the way that it is, and you can't run from it. I guess I'll wrap up by saying that, one of my favorite age-old sayings, which is that you can run, but if you do, you'll only end up with a spear in your back. You can't run, guys. I mean, I'm not going to go into an examination of that old adage, but it says it all, because there is no running from pain, which is the truth itself. One day or another, even if it be in the next life, one day we'll pay the price. We'll have to face it. We'll have to face the music, as they say. You can't run from it. So one day or another, you're going to have to fight. One day or another, the pain will be inescapable. You'll have to stand, spear and shield in hand, and face the enemy. Face your own demons. It could be 100 years from now. It could be 1,000. It could, again, be in the next life. I don't know. But guys, what I do know is that time tells all. Karma and time are the masters of all. They always win. You can only run for so long. That spear will always end up in your back if you run. So I ain't running. And I hope that you guys stand with me. Embrace the suck, embrace the pain, love it. You know what it is. Be truly Spartan.